In the news on Vanguard Life, I am Precious Chukudi, and of course, we'll be starting off with the front pages of the paper. But of course, there's jubilation everywhere as ASUU has, call off, their 8-month strike conditionally. That's what we heard. We're yet to get what the conditions are, but obviously, when we get that, would definitely relay that story to you guys, and that's why you need to go to our website www.vanguardngl.com to find out more on that story. All right, we're starting off with the front pages of the paper, starting off with Vanguard. And the Vanguard is leading with court frees Kanu of terrorism charges, orders his release. The writer says it's landmark judgment. That's coming from Mohaneze. IPOB happy over acquittal. Kanu's discharge, triumph of light over darkness. That's coming from Masob. You can see for the story showing Libya returnees. On page 5, Nigeria hasn't requested debt restructuring. That's coming from World Bank boss. The writer says, notes Nigeria is in concerning situation because of subsidy, asks federal government to interact with creditors on its debt. Nigeria's public debt up 253% in 7 years. On page 8, El-Rufai tackles Akeredolu on arming Amotekun. Lagos government signs MOU on media film city. You can get that on page 10. On page 25, $450 million Lekki Airport passenger traffic access routes, others threaten viability. Stories above. AK-47 autumn gives federal government 1 month ultimatum. On page 8, IU raises alarm over alleged APC pressure on INEC. APC can revive economy, address insecurity. That's coming from Obi. 2023, Jonathan declares support for Okowa. On page 19, CBN restricts foreign banks from banking businesses. On page 9, NNPCL tackles El-Rufai as governor says federal government has failed woefully in oil gas business. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, ex-Big Brother Nigeria housemate Rico Suavi dies after auto crash. All right, let's move over to the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Amotekun core others can't tackle banditry, says El-Rufai. It's simplistic way of fighting bandits. Autumn, people have final say on kitting outfits with AK-47. Stories above, we have ASUU in all-night meeting over strike, of which we've announced already. South commissions Okowa Diri to pacify Wike. Sanwo-Olu signs MOU with Del York on Film City. Court acquits ex-governor Turaki of 8.3 billion naira fraud. 2023, it's reward time for Tinubu, says Kwara governor senator. Appeal court ends Nnamdi Kanu's trial, orders IPOB leader release. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with IPOB Masob jubilate as court squashes charges against Kanu. The writer says Kanu discharged, not acquitted. Federal government to explore other options. Court, federal government abduction, rendition of Kanu rather breach all local international laws. Kanu's freedom, positive step towards Biafra's restoration. That's coming from Masob. Ohaneze Ndigbo, federal government should not appeal Kanu's victory. It's time for dialogue. We can also see a big story on pages 4 and 5. Fresh concern on state of basic education as out-of-school figure reaches 20 million. Stories above we have on page 29. Wike's donation stir controversy in Cross River. Confusion as aero contractors as AMCON backpedals on NG Eagles plan. Sanwo-Olu Del York signed MOU to build Lagos Media Film City. Chimamanda did not accept national honor. Team confirms. Lastly, on front page of The Guardian, doubts as Nigeria negotiate debt relief with World Bank, IMF. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Nnamdi Kanu. Jubilation in Southeast. Federal government may appeal judgment. The writer says court says IPOB leaders abduction unlawful, slams executive for recklessness. Ohaneze Sowore, Southeast elder statement, Kanu's followers hail judgment. We will present judgment copy to DSS for Kanu to go home, says Ozekome. We can see a photo story showing 126 stranded Nigerians returned from Libya. On pages 4 and 5, Oguman kills wife over school fees, burns corpse with iron. Lagos probes nurses for filming ex-Big Brother Naija star last moment. Osinachi thought her abusive husband would change. That's coming from the neighbor. You can see that story on page 18. Stories above. PDP woos aggrieved party members. BOT delays report. Strike. Parents, students hopeful as ASUU leaders meet. Sanwo-Olu gets federal government approval for $2.5 billion Badagry seaport. Cholera kills 231. NCDC warns against poor hygiene. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, World Bank, IMF to assess Nigeria's debt sustainability. And that's how we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We just joined me today in the news on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. All right, we begin with the front pages of the paper, some of our stories. But before we start, our guest is going to be analyzing this part, and that is Mr. Oludare Mayowa. He is the publisher of Global Financial Digest. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you join me this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
All right, let's start off with ASUU. The finally end 8-month strike conditionally. What's your take on the reports?
I think, thank you very much. I believe that's a very good news for every Nigerian, regardless of whether you have children at the university or not. But I'm sure we have adults in university all around us, family members, neighbors, family, friends, and the rest. And the 8 months has been a very excruciating pain for many of them, sitting at home doing nothing and hoping against hope. So I think it's a right step in the right direction. I also commend the leadership of ASUU for taking the initiative to return back to classes.
All right, so let's talk about some of the effects of this strike, action. Obviously, there are people who might never recover from this strike action. Like, for example, the thriving businesses on the campus. Some of these persons might have even spent their money in just taking care of themselves, and now to come back, they might not be able to start their business. Or some students who might have even, jackpot, like they always say, with the influx of people who are moving to the US and UK, every now and then. Or some persons would have probably be dead or are sick, or I want you to take a holistic, look at these situations.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, maybe last discussion, not to look at the whole socio-economic impact of the strikes is very huge on the country. Very, very huge. Of course, we have said about the people who are